Congratulations, Boston. I guess this is a pretty crappy consolation prize for not having Jayson Tatum. But what's going on? Welcome into My Take Is. Thank you for watching the video. Do me another favor and subscribe. It's free. It's a great channel, so check it out. The NBA season, full swing. We're about a month into it, and there is a role player who has emerged in the month of November that no one is talking about. Last night at about 9:30, if you've gone over to NBA.com and you pulled up the advanced stats for individual players, you would have seen a lot of normal faces. Nikola Jokic, Shai Gilgeous-Alexander, and Alperen Sengun, they're all in the top 10 for individual offensive rating. So the offensive rating of their teams when they're on the court. Okay, if you looked at defensive rating, right, top 10 guys, you'd find a lot of the guys that you expect to see. Alex Caruso, Lou Dort, every other player that plays for the Oklahoma City Thunder, apparently. But you would also see the best role player in the NBA that no one is talking about at this point in the year. Jordan Walsh of the Boston Celtics is 7th in the NBA in individual offensive rating, and he is 18th in individual defensive rating, and he is 3rd in the NBA in individual net rating. The Celtics are 21 points per 100 possessions better than their opponents in the 17 minutes per game that Jordan Walsh is playing in this season. He is the best role player in the NBA that no one is talking about. And let's be honest, people aren't paying as much attention to Boston this year because Jayson Tatum isn't playing, right? He's out all year. So here's what you need to know about Jordan Walsh if you haven't watched Boston play. He's a 6'7", very long-armed wing that is currently shooting 40% from three and is the Boston Celtics' best wing defender. On a lot of teams in the NBA, he'd be their best perimeter defender, period, but the Celtics have this guy named Derek White, so I'm going to roll with him. He's playing because Jaylen Brown went to Joe Mazzulla and was basically like, Jordan Walsh could potentially be our best wing defender, and we kind of need one of those. And Joe Mazzulla was like, hey, we're 500, let's throw him out there. And he's had to continue throwing him out there. In fact, he started the last 2 games for Boston because of how well he has played. And if he continues playing this well, then he's going to be a part of that Boston Celtic franchise for the long term. And I want to give a little bit of context here, because when you look at the individual net or ratings for offensive, defensive, and net ratings, it can be a little misleading because there's obviously 4 other guys on the court with you, right? So you'll find role players at the top of these lists, even though they probably don't deserve to be. So for example, Alex Caruso is I think he's top 10 in the NBA in offensive rating for individuals. And part of that's because he's playing alongside Chet Holmgren and SGA. I know that he's number 1 in defensive rating, and part of that is not only is he a good defender, but so are the other 4 guys on the floor for Oklahoma City. Peyton Watson leads the NBA in individual offensive rating at 127.2 points per 100 possessions. And that just means that he plays with Jokic a lot, right? So part of that is who you're playing with. Again, Jayson Tatum isn't playing for the Boston Celtics. They're 8-7 tonight after their win against the Nets, if they held on in that one. I flipped away to watch LeBron's debut. So let me actually pull that up and make sure that's right. Yeah, they ended up winning by 14, right? So they're 8-7, and this is an above-average team with an elite player in Jaylen Brown, a really good player in Derek White. Peyton Pritchard's a good player. Outside of that, they're not overflowing with talent like Houston, Oklahoma City, and Denver, and some of the other top teams in the NBA. So to me, that tells me that Jordan Walsh, his impact is very real for that Boston Celtics team, and it should be. Right, the dude's 6'7", he's a good defender who can shoot. Your impact should be significant when you have that size and those abilities. And the reason why Boston has Jordan Walsh is because they did something that I believe every NBA team should do. The Celtics took Jordan Walsh in the second round of the NBA draft 3 drafts ago, if my timing is right on that. And they did what I think every NBA team should do. They bet on Jordan Walsh's pedigree. Jordan Walsh was a one-and-done guy. He played at Arkansas. And he shows up, 5-star guy coming out of high school, McDonald's All-American, all those things. Okay, like every big accolade for big-time recruits, guys that you expect to play in the league for a long time, he checked every box. He gets to Arkansas, he's asked to play a pretty similar role to what he's playing in Boston right now, and he struggled a little bit because that's the first time in his life that he wasn't the best player on his team. The best player on that team was Anthony Black, who's having a pretty good year for Orlando. Okay, guys that are 5 stars coming out of high school, it usually means 2 things. They're extremely talented and they're extremely athletic. Talent and athleticism tend to turn out well in the NBA as long as you don't get the stupid, right? Like you have some guys who just don't know how to behave themselves. They, feel themselves a little bit too much, and then they get in their own way. That is not the kind of guy that Jordan Walsh is. Clearly, he took that talent, he took that athleticism, took 2 years in the pros to really develop his game, and now he is a very impactful role player. He does everything that you want a role player to do. He makes open threes, he guards, he plays within himself. Like he dribbles the ball 3 times, and he's like, you know what? I probably shouldn't dribble anymore. He doesn't over dribble. He could be a better cutter. With that being said, Boston doesn't really have guys cut. It's like, hey, man, you go spot up in the corner, Jaylen Brown or Jayson Tatum next year when he comes back. They're going to go buy somebody. When the defense collapses, you're a 40% three-point shooter. We just want you to take that corner 3. So the fact that he's not some magnificent cutter isn't the end of the world, given the way that Boston likes to play basketball. Now, the sample size for Jordan Walsh isn't huge. He logged 4 DNPs to start the year. He's played in the last 11 games now for Boston, started in the last 2. But this is one of the very dim lights for the Boston Celtics this year. Okay, because anytime you're missing your best player for the entire season, look, I live in Indianapolis. All my buddies are going through it right now. Anytime you're missing your best player for the entire year, it sucks. But the very dim, bright side of this is that players like Jordan Walsh get more opportunities, and occasionally you find a guy who can help you when your star comes back. It seems like Jordan Walsh is going to be that kind of guy with the way that he can shoot it and the way that he can guard, because every team is looking for big wings who can shoot the 3 and play a little bit of defense. So congratulations, Boston. I guess this is a pretty crappy consolation prize for not having Jayson Tatum, but you found a guy in Jordan Walsh who should be able to impact winning for your franchise for the foreseeable future.